In this short chapter, we will discuss the Battle of Emmaus. Battle of Emmaus occurred 165 BCE between the Judean rebels in Judea, which is here, and the ruling empire of the Seleucid Empire, which was big empire, all here. Why are we discussing the Battle of Emmaus? Not because it was the most impressive battle, or had the biggest army, or the most amount of soldiers, or most amount of casualties, or advanced weapon, or something. No, but because it is a very interesting plot, which shows some very interesting battle tactics and the genius of Yhuda Hamacabi, Judas Maccabeus, the leader of the Judean rebels. Let's first understand the area, the event, and the key figures. We are looking at the map of the Near East. This is the land of Canaan, the Near East. We are talking about the rule of the Seleucid Empire, big empire. It's a byproduct of Alexander Empire that broke down into segments. This is a very strong segment controlling the Middle East, the Near East, including Judea, which is about here. We are looking at map of Canaan. This is the area of Judea, what's called then Judea, later on Judea in Latin terms. And this is the land of Canaan is defined here between the Mediterranean and the Syrian African break, which contained the Sea of Galilee, the Jordan River, and the Dead Sea. This is the area we're talking about. The area here, we have to remember maybe 2 or 3 places. Emmaus, you can see Emmaus here. You can see Mitzpah here. Mitzpah is a few kilometers northwest to Jerusalem, which is here. But it's right in the mountains. All this is a mountain region. And this is important because we have to understand the area by its topographical definition. All this is the mountain region. The mountain region in that land of Canaan is here. It's called the mountain of Jerusalem. This is the Mount of Carmel. This is the region of the Galilee. This is the Hermon mountain. This is the Transjordan, and this is the Syrian African break, containing the Dead Sea. We're looking at the Mediterranean Sea. But the rebels, the Judean rebels, have been pushed to the region of the mountains. They've been pushed, they've been concentrated in the mountain area. All the other land was controlled by the Seleucid or their allies. But they are now, the Judean rebels are mountain people, and it's easy for them but to their style of fighting, it's easier for them to have battles on the mountain, and most of the battles are occurring in the mountains, except the Battle of Emmaus, which is in the plateau, in the region. This is the mountains, this is the coastal plain, and this is the quite low-level entrance hills between the coastal plain and the mountain area. It's important to understand it because the nature of the battle we are talking about. This is Emmaus in the low plains, and this is Mitzpah in the higher plains up in the mountain. Mitzpah is coming from a Hebrew word meaning lookout. Probably on a clear day you can see the Mediterranean and all other areas. It's also important to understand this because of the nature of the battle. But first we have to understand the area. And This is a topographical map. It shows the reality between the difference between the mountain region and the coastal plain. It's a big difference. Emmaus is sitting right here, Jerusalem is right here, and Mitzpah is right there. Emmaus, Jerusalem, Mitzpah. So this is where the Jewish rebels are sitting. And this is where the Seleucid Empire forces are advancing, and they have the camp. If we're looking at today at a state map, Tel Aviv is right here, Jerusalem is right here. Of course, we have to look more at topographical maps because those roads to what you see today do not exist, but it's important to understand the area. So Emmaus is about here, and Mitzpah is right there. We don't know exactly the places. Mitzpah is an old Jewish settlement sitting between what's today, it's not even controlled by present-day Israel today. It's part of the settlements of the West Bank. So Mitzpah is sitting around what's called today Nebi Samuel and Bir Nabala. It's right around here. Emmaus is in the plains right here, about here. We don't know exactly the places, but the aerial distance is not far. It's 18 kilometers, maybe 11 miles or so. So the aerial distance is very short. However, we need to look at topographical maps, and we will explain why. But first we will explain who are the forces. So we have the Seleucid, the empire. They're coming from the north. They're coming from in Syria around here. They're advancing and they're marching in the coastal plain, advancing all the way here. This is all controlled by Seleucid forces and the allies. And the allies including Hellenistic Jews. Hellenistic Jews are Jews that wants to be and maintain the Hellenistic culture, as opposed to the rebels which are zealots, and they want to maintain their monotheistic belief, which the Hellenistic Antiochus IV, the emperor, is trying to abolish, and they don't take it. They are led by the Hashmonai brothers, and the leader is called Judas Maccabeus. In Hebrew, Yhuda Hamacabi, Yhuda the Maccabi. Judas Maccabeus is a superb leader. They are sitting right here in the mountains. So the Seleucid Empire is putting their camp here. It's a strategical place, and they're building a camp overnight, a fortified camp. They have fences and walls and all the rest. And Georgas, the leader, the experienced leader, his commander, he's taking command, and he wants to make an ambush. He wants to deceive and make a tactic that will overpower the rebels. But he doesn't know. He doesn't know his foe. His foe on the other side is the greatest general, Judas Maccabeus, Yhuda Hamacabi. I'll call him Yhuda Hamacabi. He is one of the greatest generals. Not only that, Yhuda Hamacabi was born in Modi'in, right here. Modi'in, Emmaus. Modi'in, Emmaus, it's 2.5 meters. I'm just kidding. It's very close. So Yehuda knows the area, and his forces. They know the area, all this area very well. Before they became a mountain people, before they've been pushed to the mountains, they have been born here. They know the area. They know exactly where Emmaus is standing and what it means. But not only the Battle of Emmaus showed the genius of Yhuda Hamacabi, Judas Maccabeus. His entire story is very interesting and intriguing and magical. and I have a special presentation made for him. Whoever wants to see it, it's down below in the description. You can see all the links there, and it will lead you to a quite large presentation explaining the challenges and the fights of the Hashmonai brothers led by Yhuda Hamacabi. This is down below in the description. Now, the Seleucid forces are advancing along the coast and putting their camp in Emmaus with a huge force. Maybe it's 40,000 people or 20,000 people. We don't know exactly, because the books of Maccabees, and those books I also discuss in this presentation down below, whoever wants to see. One book say that it's about 40,000, another one say it's 20,000. It is safe to assume they had 10,000 organic Macedonian Greek soldiers, and maybe another 10,000 of allied forces, including the Hellenistic Jews and other allied forces and helpers and people under command. And this is, of course, not to mention all the slave traders that they were joining the camp, and they were sure that they will have, sure enough, they will have all the Jewish slaves that they were in high demand, Jewish slaves, and they were joining the forces. Now, even if we're talking about 10,000 people, we have to compare it with what Yhuda Maccabi had. He had maybe 3,000 people, and those are not soldiers. Those are mostly farmers who have been drafted for their task. Drafted farmers with not much weaponry. He had, of course, his own organic unit, which they were commanders' units. They were elite force. They were trained, and they had few battles, and they know one another, and they trusted the leader to the end. But those are maybe 800 people. All the 3,000 people are not exactly organic soldiers that they train every day and then they have weapons. They've been farmers, drafted farmers. So the sizes are maybe 1,000 against 10,000. Now, let's review the battle. עכשיו, בתחילת הקרבות, החיילים יהודה וחייליו השתמשו כנראה בטקטיקות גרילה יותר, והתקפת המוקדונים מכיוונים לא צפויים ובשטחים קשים, נניח כמו קרב מעלה בית חורון, שיהודה הפתיע את המוקדונים בשטח קשה ולחלוטין ניצל את תוואי הקרקע. אבל אם ניקח קרבות יותר מאוחרים, כמו קרב אמאוס, אנחנו רואים שיהודה מנצח גם בשטחים מישוריים, בהם לפלנקס יש עדיפות עליונה. קרב אמאוס זה קרב שנדבר עליו לשנייה, כי הוא צריך להילמד בכל פיקוד ומטה. יהודה לא רק שהוכיח טקטיקות וגאונות, אבל הוא מראה גם שכוח יהודה יכל לנצח כמעט בכל שטח. חיילים מוכנים, מחכים לקרב ובמספרים עדיפים הרבה יותר. בקרב אמאוס הגיע הכוח המוקדוני, אנחנו נקרא לזה מוקדוני, אנחנו מדברים על בית סלאוקוס כמובן. ג'ורג'ס, המפקד היווני, הגיע עם סדר גודל של 10,000 חיילים, זה הרבה, התמקמו באזור אמאוס, מי שמכיר, זה נמצא באזור לטרון, שטח מישורי למדי, תכף אני אסביר למה זה חשוב. ובלילה הוא רצה לעשות תרגיל הפתעה ליהודה שישב במצפה, שזה צפונית ירושלים בערים. לקח חצי מחייליו, נניח 5,000 חיילים, והתקדמו באזור ההר בלילה לכיוון מצפה כוח יהודה, רק שהמודיעין של יהודה זיהה אותו, יהודה, המוקדונים מגיעים, יהודה לא מתבלבל, חוצה את הכוח שלו לשתיים, הוא לוקח איתו את הגדוד האורגני שלו, את החיילים האלה, החיילים הלוחמים המנוסים, ואת החלק השני הוא משאיר כביכול במחנה. הוא בפיקוד יונתן, כנראה, הוא אומר ליונתן, תשמע, אני הולך לעשות פעולת איגוף, אתה כביכול במחנה, תיסוג לאט לאט, כאילו אתה בורח, אבל לא בפעולת בריחה חזקה ומטורפת, אלא לאט לאט כדי להתיש את היוונים. תישאר, תנוע על קו הרכס, תהיה איתי בקשר עין, אני יורד למטה. ברגע שתראה את האש פורצת במחנה אמאוס, תדע שזה הזמן שלך להפוך כיוון ולהתקיף את היוונים המותשים עם השריון הקשה, כאשר כוח יונתן מתקדם לאט והחיילים שלו מאוד קלים ומהירים. יהודה עושה איגוף, לא בדרך הראשית, הוא מכיר את השטח, ניווט א', עושה איגוף עם הכוח האורגני שלו, נניח 800 חיילים, אני מנחש, והולך לתקוף את מחנה אמאוס. רק שהיוונים גם לא נולדו אתמול, הכוח המודיעין שלהם זה את יהודה יורד. רצים מהר, יהודה מגיע, כולם עומדים, הפלנקס מחכה, מוכנים לקרב, יהודה מגיע וכמו ברק, מחסל את כולם. אנחנו מדברים על 800 איש מול 5,000. פלנקס שעבד מחכה, ראיתם את החניתות של הסריסה, זה משהו, ובכל זאת יהודה מחסל אותם מיד, מבעיר את המחנה, יונתן רואה מה שקורה, הופך כיוון, הכוח השני של ג'ורג'ס כבר מותש לגמרי, נלכד בין השניים, מתפזר, חלקו נהרג, ניצחון מבריק של יהודה, זה קרב אמאוס, קרב הבקעה מדהים. יהודה והכוח שלו הוכיחו שהעניין הוא לא רק מלחמות גרילה, זה גם קרבות פנים אל פנים מול פלקס מוכן. היוונים הופסו, כוח יהודה 1, היוונים 0.
Now we're going back to the maps to see how the battle goes. This is Emmaus right here, and this is Mitzpah right there. As you've seen, it's not far away from one another, but the big difference between the topography. Mitzpah in the mountains, and Judah is assembling all these forces, all the Jewish forces from the mountains, wherever they are sitting, into Mitzpah. They have their pre-combat rituals. They fast for 24 hours. They pray. They shout together. They have rituals. They have the speeches and the leadership, and they are all hot and ready to go. Emmaus is right there. Georgas is taking half of his forces, let's say 5,000 people. We're talking about a lot of soldiers and horses, cavalry, a lot of weapons. They are going into this area by that route. There is a route here. Now they use scouts. The scouts are Hellenistic Jews that lead them to Mitzpah to kill their comrades, Jews. All right? And they are marching here at night, using this path, this way. Now, Judah scouts, which probably discovered them halfway. They don't have much time. They have to run all the way here, so it's a long run. We're talking about at least 5 kilometers, or maybe more. They have to run to alert Judah immediately. He doesn't have much time. He has to instruct
instruct the other forces what to do. He has to assemble his men and his gear and come down the other way. It's all by very quick timing. Judah is coming here and he's going through the mountains, through the hard mountains, coming down into Emmaus from the south. Now, which is harder? Is it harder to army to go up the mountain this way or come down the mountain this way? It's probably the same amount of difficulty, because Judah has to overcome a very tough terrain here on the way down, and it's at night, and he has to carry all the weapons. On the other hand, the Seleucid Empire is marching on a path, but they have to carry, if they fight their traditional Macedonian formation, they have to carry all the shields and the huge spears they call sarissa. They are 7 meters long. They have to carry. It's very tough. 5,000 people to walk this pathway with all the amount of gear. This is a state map which shows the aerial distance. It doesn't show the topographical way. The topographical map shows the real pattern of the topography. The Seleucids are passing this way, but Judah has to come down and find his way in the mountain at night. Of course, he doesn't have any scouts. He doesn't need any scouts. He is a navigator A+. He also knows the area. But he, in the beginning of the area, he has to overcome a very difficult terrain. You can see the terrain. He has to, from Mitzpah, he has to choose the path and find the right path where he can maintain a good speed without any casualties in the way, in the long and march towards Emmaus. In the end of the march, it's becoming easier, but he still have to move clandestinely. He's probably moving around the mountains and entering. There is a pathway between the mountains here, with today the highway number 1 goes there. It's called in Hebrew Shar Gai, or in Arabic Bab al-Wad, which means the valley entrance. But it's called the valley entrance because it's the easy way where the valley is between two mountains. The valley actually allow the path into Jerusalem. So he's coming here, he's moving through the forest, and he's putting his force here, waiting for the sunrise. Now, their scouts, Emmaus, sitting here, their scouts know he's there. They know, they probably understand that he is coming to attack them. They are coming out of the camp. They are ready with their Macedonian formation, and this formation is very has proved itself. It's proved this formation of the phalanx, Macedonian phalanx with the long sarissa spears. It's a formation that it's not penetrable, and when it's moving forward, nobody can break it in. But Judah is coming here, and in the morning, before sunrise, he is moving to the east momentarily, because he will attack from the east. Why from the east? First, because the sun will be in the eyes of the formation. They will have a hard time to understand who is coming against them. Second of all, the gates are open. The fortified camp. The gates are open because Georgios just left here. Georgios left at night, going there, and he's sure that he will coming this way in the morning, and with ease. Instead of that, they get the death angel coming from the east. Now, in this battle that occurs right here in Emmaus, Judah and his force showed their amazing superiority. Not only they had to march all night through the mountains and the forests and the woods, carry all their weapons, but now they have to fight a well-trained army that is much larger than them. They carry probably very small weaponry. They carry a sword and light shield, and that's all. First, because they don't have any more. Second, because this is their nature of fighting. And third, it will be futile to go through the mountains, the tough mountains and the terrain and the forests and the wood to carry heavy weaponry. So each one of them has only maybe a small shield and a sword, and they have to fight a well-trained phalanx. The Macedonian phalanx is a formation that proved itself. It's been, for centuries, it's been ruling the Middle East and the Near East. It's been beating the great Persian army with the Macedonian phalanx and the Sarissas, and those formations were unpenetrable. No army could have broken it. Judah and his force have just, each has a small shield and a sword. Not only that, now, as you can see from the terrain, the battle is occurring on a plain field, which is their traditional phalanx playground. It's their playground. There's no excuse now to say, oh, it's in the mountains, because the previous battles have been occurring in the mountains, in more or less like in a guerrilla fight, hit and run. But now it's on a straight field. It's one small army against one large army. Not only that, they have amazing ratios. The 800 soldiers that arrive here, they have to fight at least 5,000 people, 5,000 well-trained soldiers. Because if Georgas has left here, who is documented, 5,000 people to go up to Mitzpah and hopefully to come back in the morning. So at least 5,000 organic, well-trained soldiers stay in the camp, at least, if not twice or 3 times or 4 times more. So the ratios are amazing. Judah and his forces are fighting 1 to 5, 1 to 6, 1 to 7, with only the sword. But they do it, and they win, like a lightning force striking. Battle of Emmaus.